Hey y'all, it's Rick here with Uncommon Communion. I'm recording a little bit late or early on Saturday, late Friday, early Saturday. And I had wanted to write, but then a couple things happened. One is I got hooked on a couple of episodes of The Leftovers, which is increasingly an amazing show. I'll probably talk about it here sometimes because I think it's relevant to kind of where we are. But more importantly, I started thinking, I took another look at today's Psalm, the 31st Psalm, and something really jumped out at me. And I wanted to underscore that with you verbally. Also, I wanted to just talk about some of the key things that happened on Friday, the 30th, because it was a big day. Before that, though, let us lean into and recall the reality that is above everything else. It's below everything else. It's within everything, everything. And that is that we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of the more and each other. So, yeah, quite a day, quite a day. So, in no particular order of significance, actually, no, I'm going to put them in an order of significance. I think the most significant thing we saw today is the arrest of Don Lemon. Now, I hope you follow him. I hope you watch him. I hope he has become as significant a part of your life and your news diet as he has become for me. And I'll be honest with you, folks, back in when he was on CNN, back when he was on um, corporate media, I really didn't follow him. I didn't really know him. I don't watch those things. But since Substack has risen and since he has been on Substack, I have followed him closely, subscribed to him, and really taken heart in his authenticity, his courage, and his dedication to the truth. And today we saw the consequences of that. What happens to that in a fascist regime? And make no mistake about it, y'all, we are in a fascist regime, period. And for people that don't see that or don't want to see that, I don't know what to say to them. This is it. We're in it. And arresting journalists for covering news, which is their job. And that's what he was doing in that church. He made it clear. It was crystal clear. But yet, the Department of Justice, T. Rump's personal lawyers, who's second in charge in the Department of Justice, they arrested Don Lemon in the middle of the night. And they arrested him after two judges, actual judges, fair judges, impartial judges, judges that follow the Constitution. They arrested him after those folks said, no, there is no case there. There is nothing to be charged here. So that's where Trump's DOJ went in and grabbed him in the middle of the night, put him through probably one of the most challenging days of his life so far. But he has said, and I will share with you his video that he put out today, that he will not be silenced. And I think we need to support him, all of us here on Substack and everywhere. We need to support him like we did with Jimmy Kimmel, because this is in that same vein, y'all. Remember where Kimmel was suspended and put into limbo, and people stood up and spoke up and supported him. Don Lemon isn't going off the air because they can't force him off the air. This is, for now anyway, a platform of independence and freedom and truth and possibility. And I know there's probably, I don't see this, but there's probably MAGA garbage out here too. There's probably all of that stuff here in Substack. I'm not saying that the platform is pristine, right? What I am saying is it gives people like Don Lemon, Jim Acosta, Joy Reid, Terry Moran, so many others who were deplatformed, fired, taken out of corporate media because they told the truth. And here they are. And I think what is even more important and why we should support Don Lemon I went up to being a paid subscriber today. I bought his book. I'm going to share a link to it in the notes here. It's about faith in America. I had started reading it through a library book, but now I have purchased it to support him because that stuff matters, y'all, right? That stuff matters. The numbers and the votes that we put through our choices, our financial choices, matters. So I hope you support him. I hope you support the up and coming journalists here, the Aaron Parnases, the Midas brothers, Lincoln Square, so many others who are doing very good work. Ellie Leonard, who's exceptional on the Epstein files. All of these people, support them financially if you can, support them with your views, support them with your shares, support them with your likes, because all of those things help the message get out. And the message is urgent, y'all. We are in a 5 alarm fire. And I don't use that lightly, but we are. Because what else happened today? Well, the Epstein files came out, more of them. And it's not all of them. The DOJ is saying all of them, but there are more. And you know what? Trump is not in the stuff we saw. Again, we know how close they were. We know how many. We know from other reporting how much he is in those files, but he's been scrubbed. He's been taken out. But other important people are in there, and there are connections to him. There's some things you can read about this. I'm not going to go into details, but there are things in even the release today that implicate him in very serious ways with underage girls. Now we're beyond the stage of the Epstein pal and all of that. We are getting closer and closer to very clear evidence that Trump is a pedophile. The president of the United States had sex with teenage girls. We're not there yet with the smoking gun, but we're getting closer and closer. And there was stuff today in those files that appeared in the dump and then disappeared. They're gone. Because you know what? The DOJ realized that they couldn't catch everything. So we are getting closer with that, y'all, and we need to keep pushing for that. And then there's the violence of ICE, the brutality of ICE. You know, this week they talked about backing off and, getting Bovino out of there and all of that. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. But the Democrats have grown a spine, and they have forced the funding issue to ICE to be a 2-week period of intense discussion about making changes, forcing accountability, and simple things, one of which we're going to talk about when we get to the Psalm here in just a minute. So a big day, y'all, and that is only probably partially of other things that have happened. Oh yeah, protests today, right? It was a walkout, a protest, and more protests tomorrow as well. And yeah, y'all, we're not even out of January, last day of January, and it has been quite a month, quite a week, and it continues to be. So I want to read Psalm 31. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll put it in the notes here. It's a long one, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. But like I said, when I was reading it, something jumped out. And I think as we get further into the Psalms, finishing our first month, again, there's 150 of them. I've got less than a third, probably 20% at this point. My math is a little bit off, about 15%, I think. I want to keep doing this, and I hope you're interested. I hope you're sticking with me. I hope it's opening things up for you as well. But I think one of the things, especially as the Psalms get kind of repetitive, right, where we're hearing the same theme again and again and again, I think it's going to be important, and this is what I'm going to try to focus on, specific lines, things that jump out at me that we can put in dialogue with current events, with what we see happening, right? And there was a big one that came out of this one here, y'all. So just to set the context of Psalm 31, it's a similar psalm that we've heard. The psalmist is crying out for God's help. God is faithful. God will rescue them, and a similar theme. We've heard that already, and we're going to hear it again, believe me. But here's what he says. He talks about shame. And I think shame is such an interesting thing, because shame is about when a person recognizes that there is something flawed fundamentally about themselves, that something is awry, that something is wrong, that something is broken, right? And generally speaking, shame I don't think is a good thing, right? I think guilt can be a good thing when we recognize we've done something wrong, but shame says that we are a bad person, a terrible person, right? So I think in many ways, shame is a bad thing. But yet, we do have this word where we say people are shameless. And we use that as a pejorative observation of someone, right? And I think what we're saying is that there is a sense of decency that we should have that sometimes people just don't have, right? And sometimes people need to be ashamed, right? In fact, that's what people are yelling at the ICE agents. Shame, shame, shame. This is shameful. Because again, there is, and our Constitution is founded on this. Our religions are founded on this. I think humanism is founded on this. That there is a basic decency in how we need to treat each other and to treat the world, to treat everything. And when we don't do that, even if we don't recognize that we're not doing it, we are shameless, and that is shameful, right? And that's what comes up here in the Psalm. So I'm going to start with verse 17. Just read about 2 or 3 verses here. So, O grandfather, do not let shame cross my path, for it is to you that I send my voice. Let evildoers be the ones who hide their faces in shame. Let their voices be silenced in the dark underworld of death. Put a muzzle on the mouths that speak lies. Silence the arrogant, scornful words spoken against the creators who do what is right. Silence the arrogant, scornful words spoken against the ones who do what is right. Well, there it is, y'all. And that idea about let the evildoers be the ones who hide their faces in shame. We know ICE agents mask themselves, right? And they say, oh, we don't want to get doxxed. We don't want, to get photographs. Well, you know what? That is part of that job role. You don't want to be in that role, Mr. Ice dude, who wants to play cosplay, a big bad bully. Don't take that job, right? To hide their faces in masks is shameful because it allows them to be shameless without accountability, right? And I am happy and glad and pleased and supportive that one of the main things the Democrats are saying that they will not fund DHS and ICE is until and unless they unmask their faces and they wear body cameras. And they do basic things like wear badges and identification because they're not doing that. They're not. And no other law enforcement is operates in that way. Body cameras protect the law enforcers themselves because it gives them a sense of accountability when they are questioned, when they are challenged. And it needs to give, when public servants like these ICE goons and thugs need that accountability. Must be there. All right, y'all, I need some sleep. Saturday is the 1 week 1 week mark since Alex Preddy was murdered, and it is just terrible that we are here. And I'll close with this thought here. January 30th, Martyrs Day. I don't know if you saw this, but January 30th is the anniversary of when Gandhi was assassinated, when he was martyred. And I think here we are with certainly many martyrs in American history. Dr. King is very much at the top of the list. But we have 2 more, Renee Good and Alex Preddy. God help us that we do not have more. We're gonna have more, sadly, y'all, until and unless the people of this nation continue to hold fast, to stand up and to say, no more, no more. All right, y'all, I've said my piece. Peace to you. I'm going to hopefully get a peaceful night of sleep here. Let's end with the serenity prayer. God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thy will, not ours, O God, be done. All right, y'all, blessing and good. Be well, be bold, hold fast, y'all.